there's a whole path down here. It's a lot less crowded. Anyways, I just got off my second ever ride. First one was like an hour or two ago on Helix here at Liseberg in Gothenburg, Sweden. Yeah, I'm currently in Sweden on a family vacation. Had the opportunity to go to Grönaland in Stockholm. It's a very small park right in the middle of Stockholm. For just like 2 hours or so last week. Wasn't intending to do that at all, but ended up with some extra time, so I did. You can see that video if you haven't already. And now I am at Liseberg in Gothenburg, Sweden. Didn't really record much of anything this morning. It's here with my family and they don't like to be on camera at all, which is completely understandable. Then I decided to head out because I'm really the only one that really is into rides. They all just came in on Liseberg. You can pay for admission separate from a ride ticket. If you don't want to ride anything, it's like a third the price. So they just did that and came in to kind of see the park a little bit, which is beautiful. You'll see some more of it in a second. We're just kind of walking behind everything right now, but yeah, anyways, it's very interesting. This park is in the middle of Gothenburg, Sweden. You got very dense city blocks all around it, and it's a decently small park, but when you're here, like, I feel like I'm out in the middle of the woods right now. I literally cannot tell, but I am in the dead center of many very dense city blocks right now. Anyways, you probably want to know what I thought about Helix. That's their Mack Rides multi-launch coaster here, widely considered by many to be the best one they've made. Well, some people are saying Stardust Racers now. We'll see about that this summer. I had high expectations for Helix, and I would say they were blown out of the water. That is really strong air time, just like you get on Copperhead Strike. Great hang time, just like you get on Copperhead Strike. I'd say the whole ride, from the coaster perspective, kind of just felt like a Copperhead Strike on steroids. But then you combine that with the fact that the ride's actually built on the side of a hill. I'll show you better in a second. So you get some crazy views at a lot of moments. It feels like you're so much higher than you actually are because you're on top of a hill and high up on the air on top of that hill. Crazy views of the city. Yeah, that was really unlike anything else I've ridden. I'd say that's got to be in my top 10. Couldn't tell you exactly where because right now my rankings are a mess. I've been saying that for months now at this point, but I need to sit down and decide how I actually rank most of the coasters I've ridden. Voyage is my number 1 still, but if somebody asked me like what my top 10 is right now, I don't really know. I got to figure it out, but I feel like Helix is probably somewhere in there. That was an amazing ride. I'm not getting my third ride on it right now because it has about an hour-long queue now. I waited about 30 minutes for both my rides, so I'm gonna go try to get the other credits around the park. Yeah, just walked down this path through the woods behind Helix and came out over here. This is, I believe, Luna Park. Yeah, this is what they call this area. I just learned because I just looked up something else and happened to see by accident. I didn't realize this opened in 2023 for the park's centennial. Yeah, this park opened in 1923, so 2023 was the 100th year anniversary. So they built this area with a very classic early 1900s whimsical kind of amusement park theme park vibe, similar to what you see across Europe or North America in the 1920s-ish. It's very cool. You got a couple flat rides, just like some of the ones you'd see at newer parks in the U.S., like the Zamperla Nebula's here. There's something over here that I believe, this all feels like very much like what Cedar Fair has been doing to a lot of their areas, a lot of the same kind of rides you'd see added. This reminds me, ride selection-wise, this area reminds me a lot of Aeronautical Landing at Carowinds, but you do have this Vekoma family boomerang here. A whole little garden up here and everything. And Luna, which is the family boomerang, just kind of goes around the area there. You can see the entrance right over there. So I'll loop around back there in a second. This area is built atop of the tallest point of the hill on Liseberg, so really crazy views from up here, as well as the beautiful gardens and some nice family attractions. So here's kind of the main clearing at the end of Luna Park, right by Helix's second launch here. You can see all the way back to, a highway. And also some crazy views of the Vietnam dive coaster here. I think that's the Intamin Prefab wood coaster. It all looks like unreal from this high up. It's not very often you get a theme park with this kind of elevation change going on. Dude, what is this ride entrance? I literally feel like I'm hiking through the forest, even more than at parks like Dollywood in the US. Like, this is, I'm like literally on a hiking trail right now. All around Liseberg Bahn here. Up this path, some more stairs. Yeah, this park's just really, it's beautiful, obviously. It's really interesting. They work the terrain in a way that I haven't seen even at parks in the US that are terrain-based. We made it to, it looks like Luna Station, really perched on the hill here. Got some outdoor queue space here. And then, okay, that is the station, yeah, because there's the right there. Oh, okay, I was going to say, I don't see the lift. I see it now. I had to just kind of stand here getting footage for a second. This is such a crazy intersection of Liseberg in here that it looks like they just put a playground like inside that Helix of it's going here. You have Luna here, you have Helix, the second launch. Behind it, you got their Scream and Swing. Just everything is kind of all weaving in and out of each other on this hillside. Pretty crazy. Yeah. Right, I just rode Luna, their Vekoma family boomerang, the newest coaster in the park, I believe, opened in 2023. That was my second Vekoma family boomerang. First one, of course, being Good Gravy at Holiday World. And this was much better on 2 levels. I love Good Gravy. The theming on Good Gravy is great. This one had a really cool station, though. It was kind of an observatory type deal. There was like a telescope dome in the ceiling. It was very pretty, but it doesn't quite beat the ridiculous Good Gravy house that Holiday World has. But otherwise, this is a better ride experience in almost every way. First of all, the views are just crazy because it's perched on a hill at the highest point in the entire park, which means even though it's a family coaster, it may not necessarily be the best ride for everybody if you're scared of heights, because it really feels like you're really far up there even though you're really not. But aside from the views, which were incredible. Going up the lift hill, of course, you're facing down the main hill of the park, so you get, again, just crazy views even of the natural landscape ahead. Even one of the airtime hills that's in there actually had some decent airtime, and the whole ride just had a little bit more, I don't know if bite to it is the right word, but it felt more like Big Bear Mountain, whereas I felt, even after riding Good Gravy a couple times, I still feel like it's just too tame, even for a family coaster. Good Gravy just doesn't have, I don't know, it doesn't have the same kind of fun factor to me and the ride layout that Big Bear Mountain has, and I think this actually has that, so this is better in like almost every regard. Oh, but I did have 2 like younger kids, maybe like middle school, that like took my seat while I was crossing the train to put my stuff in the loose article bins, and then they didn't speak English, so I was trying to explain, so I ended up having to tell a ride operator who had them go back through the thing. I felt kind of bad, but at the same time I didn't really do anything wrong. So that kept happening to me at Six Flags Over Georgia. People kept whenever I put stuff in loose article bins, they'd be trying to take my seats behind me. I haven't really had that happen at any other parks though, so it's weird I had that happen several times at Over Georgia than once here. I think it happened once at Grenland as well, so I don't know. It's like how smoking in parks, I never really noticed it being a problem until like last year. I'm talking about in the US. And now I see people smoking and vaping in line all the time, and it's super annoying. It didn't really seem to be much of a problem at most of the parks I visited until like last year, so I don't know. They're heading back down the hillside. It's nice to have escalators to help you get up and down the hill since it is so steep. And we're going back to the bottom of the hill, which is set up more like kind of a normal theme park rather than everything kind of built on the hillside like it is where Helix and Luna and all that are. That Norse-themed area is where we will find Valkyria, their B&M dive coaster, and Balder, their Intamin Prefab coaster. 2 ride types I'll be experiencing for the first time, hopefully, today. I haven't seen Valkyria send a train in like an hour, so hopefully it's not broken. This is what I think it is. I think this is a water bottle refilling station. These have been surprisingly hard to come by in Sweden on my experience so far, so it's great to see one. I will say ride entrances are pretty hard to find here, and the app doesn't show you really where any of the ride entrances are. It just places the marker on like the center of the ride, like the geographic center of the ride. So you still gotta kind of walk around here and try to figure it out for your own. This park layout's a little confusing. I think this bridge goes over to the Norse-themed area where those 2 ride entrances should be. There goes Balder up there. That should be interesting. Yeah, so just crossed the bridge, and this appears to be a small, kind of Norse mythology-themed area. So here we have Valkyria. That is a beautiful station building. And then here's a Max Burgers, very thematically appropriate. That was sarcastic. There are like 4 of these in this park. They're very popular here. There's a local burger chain. And then back here is Balder, which is again Intamin Prefab wooden coaster. This may have been the first one, actually. I'm not sure. I'm about to double check. There's nothing like too crazy in terms of like set pieces for theming, but it's all, you know, very consistent, pretty, you know, looks like something out of God of War. Both have about a 40-minute wait at this point, but there's a virtual queue system in the app you can use that's apparently free to use. So I'm gonna go in the app and see if I can figure out the virtual queue for Valkyria while I'm in line for Balder. See if I can grab both of them real quick here. That's the main queue building station here. And they have, I guess, extended queue all the way out here. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of it. You know, I always thought that my first Intamin Prefab would be El Toro, but things happen the way they do. And it was Balder, of all things. I guess there's not that many of them. El Toro, Balder, Colossus, and T-Express, I think. I ended up waiting exactly 40 minutes on the dot. I waited like 2 extra cycles for the back row though, because I figured if I'm only gonna do it once, I might as well do it in the back. Crazy insane airtime pops. Several points on the ride. Of course, a lot of people from the States that ride it say it's not anywhere near as good as El Toro, so can't wait till I eventually get out to Grid Adventure, hopefully after they do some retracking on El Toro. El Toro is supposed to be getting most of its track replaced in the next couple years, but this was still great. Like I said, just violent airtime pops that you just would not expect on a wood coaster. Although again, prefabricated wood coaster, so a lot of people say it rides like a steel coaster. It really does. It does not feel like a wood coaster. It feels more comparable to like a Titan track or iBox track that's, you know, maybe a little bit on the rougher side. Yeah, that's the best description. It's like an RMC, more like Topper Track. Topper Track's probably the best comparison. It feels like an RMC that's got some bumps in it, like Lightning Rod. It feels like Lightning Rod for the wood sections of Lightning Rod. In terms of smoothness anyway. Pretty violent airtime pops. They're not very sustained. They're quick. They really lurch your stomach. But there is quite a bit of like dead space in between. Basically, it'll do like violent airtime hill, turn around, violent airtime hill, turn around. And that's basically the whole ride. And the turnarounds are, I don't want to say a buzzkill, but they're not as thrilling. They give you a break from the airtime pops, but I know some people prefer the onslaught, which is probably why they prefer El Toro. The turns, this ride's like 50% violent airtime and 50% kind of dead space, but I still really enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll have time to ride it again later today. Yeah, you can see the way the track just stacks on top of each other there. You can see like 4 layers of track. It kind of just does the same thing over and over again, but at least it's good at what it does. Anyways, Valkyria is about to be my first B&M dive coaster, which is interesting considering how prolific these things seem to be. I just haven't really found myself in a park that had one, so I will be doing my second one, which I thought would be my first one. We're at the Vekoma, my new home park, later this summer after I move. Unfortunately, this is the first ride that does not have loose article bins. Instead, you have to buy lots of this, which are right in the gift shop. So you can show the gift shop, you got get it when you come back out, I guess. They are big lockers and they are pretty cheap. It's just weird when everything else here has loose article bins on platform, including Helix, which was doing pretty good 3 train ops and has the longest line in the park, typically has bins, but this doesn't. It's very strange. It's very Cedar Fair of them, but anyways, 2-hour minimum rental, have to put it in before you get in the queue, all that kind of stuff. Phones are okay as long as you have zipper pockets, but bags have to go. It sounds very much, it's very much Cedar Fair. Anyways, here we are. Interesting, like themed / stylized gift shop here, and they have much better merchandise than Helix did. I wanted to get like a Helix shirt, but there weren't really any good ones options. I feel like, but this is much better. Wow, great selection. Even some baller stuff too. Cool artwork for sure. Love all of that. Let's finish with this Coke real quick. Once you get up to the station up there, they do have basically little bitty like plastic bins that the staff bring around and let you put things like this Coke bottle or like something like the size of like a phone, wallet, keys in, and then they'll leave those on the other side for you. You just can't bring bags. And I think it's because the trains are so wide, they don't want people crossing the train with bags. So I kind of get that. It just does feel very Cedar Fair-esque and not really in a good way, but it's also ironic because Valkyria definitely has the worst operations in the parks so far in terms of like how fast they're sending trains out. The rides like Helix that have a loose article bins on the platform with people crossing the train still sending out trains much faster than Valkyria is. I know probably the super wide trains of the dive coasters are a little bit harder to check maybe, but yeah, it's not great. They're stacking all 3 trains like every time, which is probably part of the reason why it currently has the longest wait in the park. But good news, I only waited about 10 minutes for it because they do have a single rider line that they send all the single riders down. Yeah, I kind of wanted to wait in the main queue because obviously the single rider queue bypasses all the queue. And this ride seems to be better themed, at least on the outside in the station and the queue line. It all seems to be like the best themed coaster in the park. So I was interested to see if there's any theming or set pieces in the main queue, but I don't think I'll be checking that out because they do have a grouper kind of at the entrance and they're like, no single rider, you have to go to the single rider line, which is fine. Like I said, it's got like an hour wait right now and I just got on in like 10 minutes. I'll probably go again because the minimum locker rental time is 2 hours. So I doubt I'll wait the whole 2 hours, but I'll try to get another ride or two here while I can use the single rider line. But yeah, first impressions, very positive. People talk about dive coasters being one-trick ponies, but I thought the rest of the ride was pretty good too. I know like 90% of all coaster nerds have been on a B&M dive coaster by this point because of how many they are. It seems to be popping up everywhere. So I'm not really saying anything people don't already know, but I found the dive gimmick to actually be pretty good where it hangs you over the drop for just a second. I expected that to be pretty gimmicky, but it was actually like pretty fun, and then it leads into a really powerful drop. I always think that B&M does like the most gut-wrenching drops when they want to anyway. I've ridden some B&Ms that have some crappy drops, but the Hypers, the Gigas, and especially some of the other stuff for some reason, like Wild Eagle still has one of the most gut-wrenching drops I've ever felt. It's the most gut-wrenching drop at Dollywood for sure. So very excited to ride Rakshasa and have that at my new home park later this year. That one has an even steeper drop, so I'm very excited for that. But yeah, very good. The rest of the ride, the inversions are very floaty, but I feel like it kind of works. And there's actually a moment or two with some decent positive G's. So yeah, I'm gonna ride it again. I rode in the back row that time because single rider line, you just kind of get assigned wherever. I might try to do a few bouts in the single rider line here and see if I can be magically assigned the front row. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, so it doesn't look like there's really any theming there. It's just a big wood shed. I don't know though. Someone will let me know if they've been there before. The single rider line's down the stairs, so hopefully it won't be too much longer. Alright, yeah, this is a dark hallway, but Valkyria is very good. Alright, I rode Valkyria several times, again, trying to get that front seat ride from the single rider line. It didn't happen, but I did manage to get like 4 or 5 rides within like an hour and a half there, so that was fine. I will say this park is definitely small since it's right in the middle of downtown. However, compared to like Grenland, where the entire thing was like 2 very small city blocks, this feels very open by comparison. It's a small park, but it definitely feels more like a full park, if that makes any sense. Like this is easily like 4 or 5 times the land area of Gothenburg, which makes everything feel a lot less cramped, even though it is still pretty crowded here. We've still got plenty of room to breathe, and it's a full-size park, so. Alright, it's time for another one I've anticipated, which is Liseberg. This is a pretty old Schwarzkopf family coaster that weaves its way over the hillside with Helix and now Lunar Bar. So I'm just kind of interested to see what this will be like. Queue. So this is about 30 minutes. We'll see. They're running 4 trains in that thing, so that line was really moving. It's cool to see a classic Schwarzkopf. Most of them were built that way, built to run like 4 or 5 trains at a time and just keep them continuously moving like that. But most of them have since been modified, so they don't really do that anymore. Most just run 2 nowadays, so it's cool to see one still operating the way it was originally built and absolutely churning through its line. Otherwise, that was interesting. Again, it's up on the hillside with like Helix and all that, but most of the ride is like the beginning, you're kind of weaving through the woods up there, and it's kind of cool. After that, you get to like a point, like the second mid-course brake run, and then you go down, and you know imagine the 45-degree inclined Helix on like Mindbender at Six Flags Over Georgia, but just imagine that without the pothole at the bottom, so perfectly smooth, but then just literally 5 times. I don't know exactly how many times, but I was like, how many times are we gonna do this? And then the ride ends. It's weird. It's a weird little thing, but I like it. I hope they keep it around. So I'm going to see if I can grab some fish and chips for dinner real quick. Not too long before the park closes, but I do need to eat while I'm here because I'm hungry, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find anything after I leave based on our experiences in Gothenburg late at night. So far, so yeah, this is a cool little area. You can see this little like dock area. You got some boats in actual water. Yeah, it's cool. It's well themed. I don't really know what the deal is here. But yeah, it's cool. They said this will be food's ready. I've never seen something like that in a park before. We'll see how long it takes. For now, I got a beer. And I got Helix. All these views of Helix. Hopefully I'll get to ride it a few more times tonight. This park freaking rocks. In terms of parks in Sweden, this blows Grenland out of the water. I mean, I knew that beforehand, but like, this is better in like literally every conceivable way. I got my fish and chips. I was scared I was going to finish the beer first. Alright, that was good. It took about 15-20 minutes, more like 15 to get the food. It was really good. That was unironically the best fish and chips I've had on this trip. I've gotten fish and chips a couple different places throughout Scandinavia because I just thought it sounded interesting, but usually it's not good. I think the other 3 times I've gotten fish and chips in the last 2 weeks, or a week or so, I've been like, that wasn't very good. But that was like some of the best fish and chips I've ever had. My family and I did like a buffet near the front of the park for lunch today, and that was also fantastic. Some of the best food I've ever had at a theme park. It's great here. Anyways, I'm in the kiddie area right now, which looks to be pretty well done, pretty cool. I like it. Gonna see if they let me ride their kiddie coaster. They have 2 kiddie coasters. This one is not open today. It said closed for the day in the app. As you can see, there's not even a train on the track, so I guess it's not quite done with seasonal refurbs. or however that be yet. But there's another one in here somewhere that is open. Gotta find it though. All right, Rebalder, that's what I'm gonna call it. Rebalder. It's the other kiddie coaster in the park. You can see here, it's much bigger than the other one. That's the one that's actually open. So I'm gonna ride it real quick for credit. Hopefully that beer makes this the best kiddie coaster I've ever ridden. I don't know, it looks like it's like a 45-minute line, so I think the beer will be well worn off by the time I actually get on, but we'll see. That was interesting, the queue's like circles. Reminds me of like Liberty Launch's queue at Holiday World. That one's really weird. So there's like this water bucket thing that's just spilling over here. I don't know if that's a theming thing. If this is some cartoon I don't recognize. It stops right before the train pulls up. And everybody in the first row still gets doused anyway. Luckily I was near the back of the train, so I don't really get any of it. So that's good for me, I guess. Anyways, that was actually a really good kiddie coaster, I promise. It's not just the beer, I promise. It was pretty dang smooth. Yeah, it's a Zier. It's a Zier, I think. Zier, however you say it. I don't think I've done a Zier kiddie coaster before, but I feel like I have, actually, but I can't remember what it is. But anyways, that one was pretty good. It was very smooth, like butter smooth. One of the smoothest kiddie coasters I've ever ridden. Good layout. It's very similar to the Vekoma ones, which are my favorites, so that's good. Smooth, dynamic, not thrilling, which is as it should be. It's a kiddie coaster. As a kiddie coaster, it does everything it should very well. On that one, you get 2 laps, which is nice. It's even a decently long ride, even with 1 lap. But you do get 2 laps. That's fun. Also, our operator on the second lap, when we were going up the lift hill, was literally singing the Raiders of the Lost Ark theme into the microphone through the intercom on the lift. I'm not sure why he was doing that, but it was goofy. It was fun. What can I say? Well, I don't think I've seen this area of the park yet. I'm trying to figure out how to get back to around Balder. But this is definitely pretty. It's weird that you're like in a theme park and then you kind of look over and you're like, oh, you see like big buildings and you're like, oh, I'm also in Gothenburg. Whoa, what is this? This is the River Rapids ride. As you can see this section, it looks like it just makes waves. It's like a little wave pool wave generator. So it makes the rafts bounce around and like bounce into each other. I have never seen anything like that on any other raft ride before. That's crazy. The temperature's starting to drop off quite a bit. It's in the 50s now and the sun's starting to go down. So I'm not doing any water rides right now. But that is awesome. I've never seen anything like that before. Anyways, we're definitely back in the north area. Here's, hello KE. I'm gonna say that's Loki. Loki, the frisbee ride. There's definitely plenty of flat rides I want to ride here as well. However, we only have about 2 hours until the park closes at this point, so I want to make sure to get re-rides on all the coasters I want to get re-rides on, which probably means I won't be doing very many flat rides. Unfortunate, that always seems to happen on this channel. I visit parks that have pretty cool flat rides, but you know, I'm a coaster guy, and that's how it is. I feel like there aren't very many people that are super into amusement parks, theme parks, that are always like, man, I have to hit all the flat rides. But if you are one of those people, respect. But I think for most of us, flat rides are just something we kind of do if we have extra time, so. All right, definitely need a re-ride or 2 on Balder here, for sure. We'll see, hopefully the line is not quite as bad as it was earlier today. Second ride was great. I rode closer to the front of the train just to see how it was near the front. It was still really good. It felt different. And the back, I were in the back row the first time. In the back you get more, you know, Yankee feeling, but in the front you kind of get pushed into some of the airtime moments. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's see if I can go again. All right, yeah, I got a third ride on Balder, kind of towards the middle of the train because I just took the first available row that was not empty. And yeah, no, it's still good. It's definitely the best time I rode it was in the back row, although it was a little bumpy there. It's butter smooth everywhere else I rode in the train, but there were a few little bumps in the very back row, I guess, because you're on a wheel seat. But yeah, no, it's a really good ride. I still think this might be a hot take considering how most people seem to feel about the Intamin Prefabs, but I would say Valkyria is a little bit better. Just a little bit, not much. But I still think it's incredible top three for this park. Helix, Valkyria, Balder. I know some people would probably go Helix, Balder, Valkyria, but again, I think for me it's Helix, Valkyria, Balder. But no matter which way you order it, that is an incredible top three for a park this size in the middle of a major city. But yeah, right now we got like an hour and 15 minutes till the park closes. I just realized I don't know if they close queues early here. I guess we're gonna find out. I'm not gonna ride this right now, but I did just want to document what the hell is this thing? It looks like a top scan mounted on like a KMG pendulum that goes upside down. I don't know. It's a mess, whatever it is. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. For now, I'm going up the escalator up to Luna Park now. I know I said I was not gonna do any flat rides. However, I do want to try to do their Scream and Swing that's like on the side of the hill there, because I think that's a really cool location. I think it'll be a fun ride. It looks like it was a walk-on when I checked the wait times a minute ago. So I'm gonna do that on my way by to Helix, if I can do it real quick. Wait, it looks like it's like a walk-on for the family boomerang, Luna. So actually I might do that again through here, just to get a slightly better feel for it, because I really enjoyed it the first time, but thinking about it, I'm not sure I have a great feel for it. And since I don't know when I'll be back to this park, it'll probably be many, many years before I'm back here, so I wanna make sure I get a good feel for it, so. Oh yeah, it's like basically a station wait. Even less than that, really, so. Alright, rode toward the middle of the train that time, and yeah, it was just as good that time. Coming out of the station, there's one like surprisingly good like airtime pop. I mean, it's not anything like you get on like a thrill coaster, but for a family coaster, pretty surprisingly good airtime pop. Certainly by far the better family boomerang compared to Good Gravy. Sorry, Good Gravy, I love the theming there, but wasn't as impressed by the ride itself. Views are crazy too. It's unreal coming up that lift, and you're facing towards the whole park. You see Balder and all that stuff down there at the bottom of the hill under you. It's something else. Also some cool lighting effects in the station that were not on the first time. All the lights throughout the park are starting to come on now, even though it's not gonna get dark till like, well, I think sunset's like right at 10, which is when the park closes. So by the time it gets dark, the park will be closed. Unfortunately, no night rides or anything, but it's starting to like, you can tell it's dimming a little bit. The lights are coming on. So anyways, I'm gonna do that Scream and Swing real quick because it just looks awesome on the side of the hill. Then see how many times I can do Helix before the end of the night. Oh yeah, just complete walk on. Love it. They really staple you in on that Scream and Swing compared to like Barnstormer. It's the only other one I've done. It's a much longer ride cycle than Barnstormer though, so there's that. It's called Up Swing It. That's what it is. I love mispronouncing things in languages I don't know anything about. Yeah, it was definitely cool being positioned. I was on the side facing the rest of the park, so unfortunately I didn't get swung out where I was facing down towards the rest of the park. Just because they assigned the rows, and that's how they assigned them. That's pretty bad. Helix entrance setup is weird though, because you come up this escalator and then you've got this burger shop, coffee shop, like a mall food court up here, and then you just got Helix kind of tucked back here. It's a little odd. I was hoping to get one more ride on Helix because this is a bit darker now, but of course the queue is closed. They actually put in the app like at capacity for the night when it closes, so. Somebody broke this for me. I do wish I had gotten more than just 3 rides on Helix, but I definitely wanted to get a good feel for the other major coasters of the park too, all of which were also fantastic. Honestly, I don't think, even if I didn't do the extra rides on Balder, the Scream and Swing, or Luna, I feel like I still wouldn't have time to have gotten a 4th ride on Helix just because of how early they closed the queue, so. It is a little bit odd to exit a park like this right into a city block. Odd in a good way, but yeah. This is one of the European parks that seems to click with people the most, like that people seem to keep wanting to travel back to and experience again. Right there with parks like Alton Towers and stuff, and I can definitely see why. Be interesting to see what this park does in the future. Again, it's a pretty small park and it's pretty compact, but at the same time, they found creative ways to fit new rides in, pretty recently even. It does seem like they have some space based on how they typically utilize space. They could put in some more attractions, but even if they don't, I'm excited to someday come back to Liseberg, even if it is a couple years, and even if they haven't added anything in the next 5 or 10 years, when I do come back here, I definitely want to make a point to get back here. I'd say it's definitely worth coming to Gothenburg just to go to Liseberg, especially if you're into theme parks, roller coasters, amusement parks, that kind of thing. A surprisingly strong coaster collection for, again, such a small park in the middle of a city center like this. But while you're in the park, it feels like a regular park. It doesn't feel like you are in the middle of a city center. But at the same time, because you're in the middle of a city center, it's super accessible. A combination that you rarely get in the theme park world. Even over here in Europe, most theme parks and amusement parks, most of them are pretty outside of city centers. They're kind of in the middle of nowhere, which makes them a little hard to get to. A couple years ago, I did a study abroad in London, and I managed to go to Thorpe Park, but that was the only park I managed to get to. A, because the hours in the UK suck. Thank you, Scandinavia, for having your parks open till like 10 p.m. Much more reasonable than in the UK. They start closing things at like 5 p.m. on weekdays. I didn't want to pay for a taxi or anything, and it's pretty difficult to get to a lot of the parks around London on public transportation. This seems to be kind of a thing in Scandinavia, though. You have Grenoble in Stockholm, you have Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen, you have Liseberg here in Gothenburg. Can't think of any other examples off the top of my head, but yeah, it's cool. Yeah, the park itself is awesome. I am a sucker for like really nice, creative, interesting terrain usage in parks, and this is one of the coolest I have ever seen, if not the coolest I've ever seen. The way that they use their hillside, their very steep, very large hillside that most parks would probably say, oh, that's not usable. But they make it part of the park here, and it's awesome. Which kind of almost divides the park into 2 sections. You have like the hilltop, then you have the bottom area, and it feels like 2 different parks. The bottom area feels more like a normal amusement park, theme park, and the top is just a completely different thing. Anyways, I'm about out of time for tonight. I got some other things to do, so thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about Liseberg and my experience there today, be sure to leave them in the comments. I'd love to read those and answer them, and hope to catch a ride with you again very soon.